Hello, everybody. My name is Zach, and today I've got a very serious video in regards to a friend of mine and anybody else that is willing to watch this video and anybody that is willing to open themselves up to the truth, just as I have done. Now, before we get into this, I would just like to state that I myself have opened myself up to the truth. Any possibility, wherever the evidence leads, that's where I will be going. Wherever the evidence and the proof and just the sheer truth is, wherever that truth is, that's where I'm going. So I opened myself up to the truth. And it came down to two religions. Not even religions. Or one of them is not a religion. One of them's the truth, one of them's a lie. Or one of them has some truth to it. And the other one is, you know what I mean? So, the two books I'm talking about here is the Bible and the Quran. So, we're going to look at these two. But, in this video alone, we're just going to focus on the Quran. And what the Quran says about the Bible. So, as you can see, I've got a plethora of study material here that we can just go over and see through and just check it out. See what the truth is. So let's get started, people. Before we get started, we've got to get one thing straight and out of the way. And it is the Bible corrupted? Now, Muslims they absolutely have to say that the Bible is corrupted. Why? Because it contradicts it in many ways. And it really just depends on the translation or the interpretation of the Quran. So, first things first, the Bible is most definitely not corrupted. We have proof, we have evidence, we have justification of this. The Bible says that it can't be corrupted. Doesn't matter. That's really not the point. The point is we have over 24,000 manuscripts that prove it's not corrupted. Reason why? Because they have dated these manuscripts back to before the time of the Quran. Using the parchment paper, the type of paper, the type of ink, the spacing, the lettering, all of these things have dated, just like they can date fossils and many other things that for millions of years ago. They can date all of these things. They can date paper. They know that these manuscripts are thousands of years old. They know that we have one, it's called the Codex Sinaiticus. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce it, but whatever. It's the Old and New Testament in Hebrew. And it's dated to 1600 years ago. We also have the Dead Sea, the quote-unquote Dead Sea Scrolls. Doesn't matter, whatever you want to call them. They were found in a cave in Qumran. Whatever. It's the Old Testament. Word for word matched with the Bible that I have in my home right now. These prove the authenticity of the Bible. Well, now let's go ahead and look at the Quran and what the Quran says about the authenticity of the Bible. Well, let's start off with chapter 6, verse 115. What does it say? None can change the words of Allah. That's what it says. More confirmation right here. None can change the words. Next verse and chapter, please. Chapter 3, verse 3 through 4. And this is kind of paraphrased. So, God sent the book which confirms the Torah and the Gospel. Surah 3, Surah 3, 3 through 4. Okay, let's continue. We also got chapter 3, verse 48 through 50. Also, more confirmation. It says that he will teach him wisdom and the Torah and the Gospel. More confirmation. Then we come to Surah 4, verse 163. Now, in that verse alone, it talks about many biblical figures that are in the Bible, which also verifies the authenticity of the Bible that I have in my home right now, because it is the exact same names. Chapter 17, verse 55, confirms that the Psalms were given to David, I believe. It confirms the book of Psalms. Now here's the big kicker, people. This one is pretty funny, but either way, doesn't matter. Surah 21, verse 105, is a direct quote from Psalm 37:29. It is it's word for word quote. Paraphrase right here: the righteous shall inherit the land. Psalm 37:29. Here's some proof for you guys. And it says it right there. It says that the righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever. Surah 10, verse 99, says that if in doubt, to go to the people of the gospel, the revelations from before. So, why would he command you to go to a Bible that is corrupt? For guidance of the people. Surah 3:3-4, a guidance for the people. He sent the Torah and the gospel as a guidance for the people. This goes back to the apparent corruption of the Bible. We have the manuscripts that are dated back to the time of Muhammad. We have the manuscripts that were before the time of Muhammad. And we know the books. We have them in our possession, the ones that they were reading. So, this leads us all to chapter 5, verse 43-48. Tells us, here's a paraphrase sort of, the Quran protects the gospel, the Bible. It protects it. It confirms it and protects it. We have all this proof that shows us that the Quran confirms it, and the only thing that Muslims can do, they can just interpret all of these verses that I've just said in a different way, and then they can just assume that the Bible was corrupted because it contradicts their verses. Now let's look at Jesus. Now this is going to be sort of paraphrased. It says in Surah 3, verse 55, Jesus, I will take and purify thee from those who disbelieve and make those who follow you superior to those who disbelieve until the day of resurrection. Now that is a paraphrase. It's not word for word. That is exactly what it says though. So, what does this mean, people? It says also in the Quran that Jesus performed many miracles. It says that he turned clay into life. He breathed life into a bird. This is something that I would see Jesus doing. He gives life. It says this in the Bible. He gives life. It says that he performed many miracles in the Bible. It also says this in the Quran. Only one logical answer: Jesus did, in fact, perform miracles. The only problem is, which book is true? Well, what proof do we have of the Quran? Let me think for a second. Oh, none. That's okay though. It only had one book, and it was passed down from generation to generation, or whatever. But let's take a look at another verse. Now, this one I know that Muslims will definitely try to interpret into different ways, but it doesn't change the fact of what it truly means. Paraphrase here. Who have made the Quran into portions. Here's another translation. Who have made the Quran into shreds. Surah 15, 90-91. This can only mean one thing. That the Quran is not the infallible words of God. That they are in fact possible to corrupt. This only leads to one conclusion. That the Quran was corrupted. In fact, I do believe that maybe the Quran was okay at first. Maybe. He told Muhammad to go back if he was in doubt about the revelations he was receiving. And to go read the gospel and ask the people of the gospel, which would be us Christians, who believed in Jesus Christ. We have justification for this as we have manuscripts that are thousands of years old that confirm to us the Bible's authenticity. Also, the Quran confirms our Bible's authenticity. So this can only mean one conclusion. The Quran is in fact corrupted. It says it right here. Who have made the Quran into shreds. It doesn't change what it means. You can interpret into any way you want to interpret it. It doesn't change the fact of all of this. All of this proof. This isn't even half of the proof in the Quran. that confirms the Bible's authenticity. This one verse right here confirms my Bible's authenticity. 21:105. It's a direct quote to Psalm 37:29. I've shown you this. Please listen. Confirms Bible Psalms. How can my Bible be corrupt if Quran is directly quoting my Bible? If the Quran is saying that it confirms the Bible, if it's having more confirmation, if it says that the Quran protects the Bible, if it says if in doubt read the Gospel, if it says that Jesus is superior, if it says that the Quran is basically corrupted, do you truly believe that the Bible is corrupted? Come on now. None can change the words of Allah, God. None can change His words. This leads me to this last little verse right here. Chapter 40, verses 70 through... Another little sort of paraphrase, right? Those who deny the Quran and the message given before to the apostles will be dragged into the fire. Fetid fluid, fetters around the neck, shackles. These are just some of the words that are in the verse. Read that verse. You cannot reject the book, the Quran. And the Quran says that the Quran is corrupted. The Quran says that the Bible is true. It could only mean one thing, that Satan has written the Quran. In the Bible it says that Satan can't do anything before revealing it and telling the truth, and then he's just going to do what he does. So Satan says, go to the truth if you doubt. Reason why? Because if you don't go to the truth and you do doubt the truth, then it's only your own fault in the end. The Quran tells you what book to go to. It tells you to read the gospel of Jesus Christ. It clearly says here that Jesus and his followers are superior. None can change the words of Allah. And apparently the Torah and the gospel are the words of God. We have thousands of manuscripts. God has made thousands of manuscripts for a reason back then, so that thousands of people could read them and copy them. The translations were not corrupted. We have the translations from the time of Muhammad. We have the translations from the time hundreds of years before Muhammad. So we know that these are the same exact words that were written before the original gospel that was written. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong and show me your evidence, because I will be glad to give you the benefit of doubt. Now, my friend, in regards to you and your beliefs, I respect your beliefs. I really do. And I just want to say that I do love you, man. And I wish, and I truly hope, and I pray that you will come to the truth and the light, and you will see the light. Test the truth. Open yourself up to the truth. If the evidence leads to the truth, then what does it matter? If you were deceived or not, what does it matter? The Bible has much evidence supporting its existence, yet the Quran doesn't. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you all understand. Peace out. Have a